Hey LinkedIn, and welcome to Business Unusual. This is a live show where we talk about the ways coronavirus is impacting the ways that we work and the ways that we live. I am Susie Jackson. I am a news editor at LinkedIn, coming to you live from my home in New York City. Today on the show, we are going to be talking about the fitness industry. And I want to hear from you as we do. Drop your comments, your questions into the stream. Use the hashtag Business Unusual. Let us know. Are you being impacted by this? Are you trying to make your way through? It's an industry that's been hit really hard. It's one of these really in-person industries. Obviously, it can't continue in the same way it has been during this time. I want to know, are you joining us? Are you a gym owner? Are you a trainer? Are you a patron? Are you trying to figure out your workout routine in your own home right now in the confines of your four walls? Tell us, how's it going? What is going well? What do you have trouble with? What do you just want to reach out and talk about? We are here to be a community today, talk to each other in the comments, support each other. Let me know what you're thinking. We have some really great guests on the show today. I'm excited to bring them out in a few minutes. The first guest we're going to hear from, he is Keith Smart. He is not only a U.S. Olympian, a silver medalist in fencing. I'm sorry, someone sounds like they're doing some fencing practice above me right now. It's a little bit distracting. The kids upstairs tend to run around a lot during this time, but hey, it's a fitness episode, so maybe they're watching too, and it's appropriate. Our other two guests who are going to be joining us have been doing training virtually for years. So as we'll see in a couple minutes, there's a lot of commentary on LinkedIn coming from people who are trainers who are trying to rapidly transition to a virtual world and having some struggles with that. So we're going to have two guests who can speak to that, who are experts in that and have been doing it for years. One is Stacey Grant-Lewis. She is a nutritionist, a fitness instructor, and a project manager in the health and wellness space in the greater Boston area. And also we'll be welcoming Dr. Darian Parker. He is the co-owner of Epic Leisure Management. He is based out of Washington State. So we're going to bring those guests on in just a few minutes. But before that, we wanted to just set the stage a little bit. So I've been looking across LinkedIn and seeing a lot of comments, questions from people in the fitness industry, also from people who are patrons of the fitness industry. So I wanted to bring up a few comments to just kind of set the stage a little bit. Many are having success moving to a virtual practice. Many are having challenges. So Elena here says she teaches yoga, and she's actually been grateful to not have made the full step into full-time wellness entrepreneurship yet. She's noting that a lot of studios are moving to Zoom, and notes that the market is flooded, is being drowned right now. We have a comment from Stephanie, who has been training online for many, many years, and says she finds it a bit frustrating to see people jumping on what she calls the online fitness bandwagon now without doing their homework. So she wants to remind us of certain things, or if you're moving into a virtual practice, she wants you to think hard about what platforms you're using, what music you're using. Do you have the rights to use that? Even some bigger operations like Peloton have been hit with lawsuits for music copyright issues. Do you know what's the microphone you're using? What is your camera proper? Can you take payment easily from people? Do you have the right insurance to cover these things? She talks about this is really a different ball game, and we're going to be hearing from our guests about some of those very issues. We finally have Daniel, who had a long comment where he really talked about this being a person-to-person, a connection industry. He says that online is fabulous and can scale, and that he definitely sees trainers and gyms needing to move this into their business in some way, shape, or form after this pandemic passes. But he notes that it's really a personal connection industry. You go to the gym, you're sharing equipment with people, you go to a workout class, you're there to sweat, but you're also there to have some sort of sense of doing something together. So that's something we're also going to talk about today. How do you maintain a sense of community in the fitness industry from either side? I just want to note, I've heard from a lot of members who's in the fitness industry whose businesses aren't a natural fit for moving to online. It's not just trainers who are doing yoga workouts or running coaches. There are physical therapists who need to do one-on-one care. There are occupational therapists in the same boat. If you're an OT, occupational therapy, you're probably not going to go find a new base of clients by being really great on Instagram. It's just not the same world. So just to note that there are people really on all parts of the spectrum here experiencing this and trying to figure out how to make their business survive and still provide great service. So speaking of trying to figure out what to do with the business, I wanted to look more closely at the gym side of things. I want to bring in Keith Smart. Keith, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Susie. Thank you for the invitation. I'm doing really well, and I trust you're safe and healthy as well.
Thank you so much. I hope that we're all safe and healthy. Thank you for that reminder, Keith. Keith, you are a silver medalist. You won the silver in fencing in the 2008 Beijing Olympics. You are also the GM for fitness at Chelsea Piers, which is a massive, really impressive gym in New York, but also in the Northeast region. You've got like 150 fitness classes alone, but the gym also has an ice hockey rink, a rock climbing wall, a driving range. Tell us a little bit about the gym, your membership, and what your initial response has been to the virus.
Yeah, the virus definitely threw us for a loop. We chose to close earlier than most of the New York City fitness industry to safeguard our members and employees and teammates. So we closed all Chelsea Piers operations March 13th, and we've been closed since then, putting all memberships on a freeze. So we're not doing any financial transactions at all while we're closed, because we want to respect everyone's unique situation. And for those that want have really particular situations where they want to cancel their membership due to relocation, we're allowing that as well.
That's great, Keith. And I want to say hello to some people in the stream who are joining us. We have Shelly, Eric Fan, Patricia, Pearl. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure where you're coming from, but thank you for joining us. We are talking with Keith Smart. He runs the fitness programs at Chelsea Piers, a massive gym in New York and in the Northeast region. So, Keith, you said that you closed pretty early in on all this. So you've been closed for what, 6 or so weeks now?
Yeah, about like 5.5 weeks. We wanted, again, we kind of saw what was happening with Italy, and we wanted to get ahead of this, and do our part to make it easier on the New York City and Northeast community. So we felt the most prudent thing to do was to close the Thursday, March 13th, before things really started to get out of hand in New York City. And it was a tough decision, but in retrospect, it was the right one.
Yeah, we have Penny here in the stream. She says she identifies as an athlete over 45. She says she's not a trainer, but she cares deeply about how the situation is impacting all the amazing trainers and fitness centers that I know of. So we've been hearing a lot from trainers who are moving on to an online business, but from a fitness center point of view, tell me, you have sunk costs. You have rent to pay. You have lots of physical heavy equipment taking up physical space. You still have trainers on staff. You have front of house staff, cleaning staff. What are you doing? What is happening with all those costs right now?
Yeah, so we basically are still paying a lot of our fixed costs. We have to, like rent and some of the equipment purchases. And we're obviously negotiating with some of our vendors, like delaying receipt of items that we probably won't need immediately. So that's allowing, we're just looking at every single line item in our P&L to make sure we're operating efficiently while we're closed. And then with our staff, what we've done is, we went to online, where we're offering complimentary classes via Instagram, YouTube, or Zoom. And so we pay our instructors for each class that they teach. So they felt it really beneficial because it keeps them connected to our members. And then we're able to offer our members a nice complement of working out at home without having to pay any more money.
And talk to me about your reopening strategy. I know that none of us know when that will be, but as a large business, how are you thinking about taking those steps? What's important? What are you trying to get ahead of, given that we don't know everything?
It's true. So we're trying to figure out like where the government laws will land, when it comes to large gatherings. So we are exploring a couple of different scenarios. Whether that's doing temperature checks to every member that enters the club, as well as we are doing sanitate. We're going to institute like doing deep sanitization of equipment on a daily basis, as well as spacing out our classes and reducing the capacity of our classes. We are a really popular fitness facility in the Northeast, so we would have wait lists for some of our more popular fitness classes, and now we're looking at lowering the capacity and adding more classes throughout the day. So it gives our team enough time to clean and straighten up, and making sure that members understand that we're doing this for their protection as much as our team's protection.
Yeah, that's a lot of changes, and that's based on stuff that you don't know yet. What are the protocols going to be? What the size of gatherings, the number of feet that need to be between people. I think your scenario has to change depending on all that, which is itself probably going to change as this continues to roll out. Talk to me about community. You mentioned that you're offering you're not charging fees anymore, and you are offering classes so that some of your trainers can still find meaningful work in this time, and you can also have something to offer to your patrons. What else are you doing to try to maintain a sense of community so that good like that heart is still there when you come back to all of this?
Yeah, well, that's what makes us unique, and as part of our mission at Chelsea Piers Fitness, is we really focus on the full experience for a member, and it's based off of a community. So what we've done and what we plan to continue to do throughout our closure is we've done like online cooking classes. We're doing a date night with a tango session. We're hosting regular Zumba dance classes for the family. We're also doing virtual rides. So like as people have ideas and we're thinking out loud, like we recently did a sound bath, a meditation sound bath, which was really well received. So we want to continue to offer community events. We don't have that common physical space where we can host them right now, but we can be creative using some of the online platforms, and they've been great. The online cooking class was a huge hit. This Friday, we're doing the tango dance class. We think that would be a lot of fun, and our Zumba class has been extremely popular.
Sound bath, tango classes. I might just have to sign up. Tell me of these elements. These are new things that you're doing to reach out to the community. Are any of them going to stick beyond virus times? Are you finding any of these things actually really beneficial in a way that is worth implementing after this all passes?
Yes, I think one thing that forced us to accelerate our plans a bit was how we interacted on social media with online offerings. So we will continue to do and probably invest in better equipment as we go along for doing better online video content to complement our members that might be traveling, or maybe they're a former member that's moved to the West Coast. So we want to keep everyone connected. So once we reopen, we're going to continue to do online classes and build up a pretty nice database, because the feedback we're hearing from members and guests and those that just discover Chelsea Piers Fitness through Instagram or YouTube is like, this is great. Please keep it up.
That's great. With that kind of stuff in mind, what advice do you have for other gym owners, gym leadership? What should they be thinking about right now if they're game to try something new? What should it be?
I think one of the things we did early was we surveyed our members in terms of figuring out what do they want, what do they need, and so once we figured that out, we realized what platforms were most popular, and then I think it's really wise to grab maybe one or two of your more popular instructors or trainers and have them tape a workout, so members can hear from you and they can see that you are doing something while you're closed. The other thing I think it's important is to like, we do a regular cadence of twice a week email outreach to our members, as well as we have our team doing deep segments to individual outreach. So we're constantly reaching out to the members because, like I said before, we're a community and we're really passionate about maintaining that community, even while we're all quarantined at our respective homes.
And speaking of being quarantined, Keith, you're quarantined like the rest of us. You're an Olympic athlete, like Olympic level athlete, silver medalist. What are you doing to stay in shape right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm talking to a lot of my Olympic teammates, and I'm biased, so I do a lot of the Chelsea Piers Fitness online videos via YouTube or Instagram. I find that I have to do at least one video every day, and then I'm also holding myself accountable to kind of going back to my Olympic training of doing two-a-days. So I usually do a high intensity workout towards the end of the day, or reverse depending on how my muscles feel, and then a low impact workout the other day. And then I'm also like really focusing on mental wellness. I think that's a big issue, especially with a lot of the Olympians that are like, the games have been postponed for a year. So reading a lot, trying to learn new hobbies. You can end up ruminating a lot about like what happened and why am I not going to the games when I put the past 4 years focused on that one issue. So building up that mental muscle again is really important.
That's amazing advice, the mental and the physical. Keith, thank you so much for joining us today. I think that was really valuable advice for people who are running gyms and trying to figure out how to make this work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, that was Keith Smart. He is the GM for fitness at the Chelsea Piers Gym Complex in the Northeast. He was also an Olympic silver medalist in fencing, telling us that, if he's an Olympian, if he can figure out how to work out from home, we probably all can figure it out too. I am Susie Jackson. This is Business Unusual. It is a show where we talk about the way coronavirus is impacting the way we work and we live. We are talking about the fitness industry today. So we just heard from the gym side of it. We're going to bring on a couple of trainers in just a minute. But I want to get into the stream a little bit. I see a lot of you here. I see Christine saying, I'm loving online yoga. Christine, I'm trying to love online yoga. I always talk on the show about my little kids running around here, but it makes it difficult to get into much of anything. So I'm really glad that you're enjoying it. I hear Kathy saying that now she's home, she can learn and implement strategies she previously didn't know about. She thinks it's a good time to start healthy, lifelong practices. We have Lucia, who's saying she works out 6 days a week. When COVID hit, she wanted to stay connected with her yoga community and practice on her own. One of her studios has been able to offer daily Zoom classes, and she loves it. She hopes it lasts long after COVID. So we heard a little bit of that from Keith too, that some sort of virtual element is probably going to be built more into business going forward, even after this period. And so everyone's learning new things, trying new things. It's great to see everyone in the stream. I see Marcella talking about burpees and jumping jacks daily has kept me moving. It's a quick full body exercise. Burpees are certainly a full body exercise. I was trying to do some last night and I am not as in great a shape as I used to be. I think it's a good time to bring out our next two guests. Speaking of burpees, I hope they don't make me do any today, but I want to welcome to the show Stacey Grant Lewis, who's a nutritionist and fitness instructor in the Boston area, and Dr. Darian Parker, who is the co-owner of Epic Leisure Management. He is coming to us from Washington State. Welcome. Hello. How are you guys doing today?
Hello, how are you?
Good. Great. Darian, Stacey, we are seeing a flood of trainers go online. That was the word that was used earlier, a flood. We are seeing trainers who have never worked virtually. They're used to having gyms support their infrastructure, try to move online really rapidly. You two have both been doing this for a while. Tell me, Stacey, you go first. How long have you been training virtually?
Probably since 2009. So it's been some time. Had clients all the way from California that I used to do via Skype. Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, so yeah, that is a while. You have a few tricks up your sleeve there, so we're gonna get to that too. And Darian, tell me, what's your experience been? I know that you have worked in traditional gym settings, and Stacey, you have too, but you've been training online for how long now, Darian?
Yeah, it's been about 3 years. And before that, I was running kind of luxury private clubs and was a fitness executive as well, but have always been a trainer and came across training live virtually about 3 years ago. And now it's primarily what I do as a trainer is training live virtually.
So tell me a little bit about the differences between training in person and training live. I mean, there's really obvious differences. You're not physically there, but what are the things that some people might not be thinking of?
I think one of the biggest things, well, one, I think there's a myth that it's not very personable, or that it's not going to feel very intimate. And I think it's actually contrary to that, is that a lot of my clients said that it feels even more intimate than being in person, which I know sounds very counterintuitive to that. But you're taking away a lot of the background noise distraction that you might have in a gym with music and members around and things of that nature that are just kind of almost the noise. And so you're kind of staring down the barrel of being with somebody within the platform. So it really makes the trainer have to be really centrally focused on the client. And there's not a lot of other things going on with that. So it's really like you're staring down a tunnel and you're looking at each other and you're taking them through the opportunities of, progressive dynamic exercise with that. So in many ways, it's actually more intimate.
I think that's really interesting that you're not in person anymore, but as you say, the distractions melt away too. So there's no place to hide and kind of zone out and pretend you didn't hear that you just said 10 more reps or something. Talk to me, is that your experience too? And how do you ensure safety too? Maybe it's a more intimate experience, but maybe you're the kind of trainer who's used to kind of cueing people in person and making sure that they're doing it properly. Tell me about that.
I think there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And in terms of, is it easier or harder to train somebody online? It really depends on the client. I do agree that you're in an intimate setting with this person, but it really depends on if they're motivated and want to be with you at that time. There's so many other distractions in life. So behind the scenes, before you even train someone, you're probably, doing some intake before finding out about their health, their physical health, emotional health, all that. And then you're doing that one-on-one with them where you're really focused on basically their health, their knee, their joint, their back, whatever it is, focused on getting them to do the right movement in the right way. So in that way, yes, distractions are behind you, but it really depends on the client's motivation.
Yeah. And then, so the motivation on the client side, they're there, they're ready to train. What about on your side? You're motivated to do the actual workout, to do the teaching. But now, if you're just coming into this virtual scene, do you know which platform to use? Can people hear you? Is your mic working? Do you have the right camera?
Right.
One of the commenters earlier was talking about, do you know the safety procedures? Do you have insurance? Talk to me about some of the logistical things of that. Darian, why don't you take it first?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things with coronavirus, it's forced a lot of trainers to go online who are not ready to do it. And I think we think we live in a world that everybody is very tech savvy and they know how to operate different platforms, but I don't think that's true, actually. I think that we're very comfortable in the things that we have been doing. And so the hard thing about going on live virtually, which is what I'm doing, is that there's really no handbook for it, and there's no education or mentorship for it. So people are essentially winging it, other professionals getting on there. So you need to understand which platforms are good for you. Where are you using? Skype, Zoom, FaceTime, WhatsApp. I think I was telling you, Susie, like if Zoom, if you look at the news related to Zoom and stuff, there's been a lot of security breaches with that. And then people buying the passwords now online to get into those classes or sessions, whatever it may be. And I have found that the resolution's not great. The quality of the sound drops several times depending on the CPU usage or the connection for that. I think you need to understand other things like lighting and camera angles, the location that the clients may be. They surprise you. They pop up in different places. I like for my clients to be wherever they like to be, as long as the connection is good. So being able to be flexible and providing a program that is not so rigid based off of being connected to a certain piece of equipment or a methodology or style of training that you're looking forward to doing with people. So being flexible, being versatile is really important. And then I think the other thing is having good charisma on camera, being able to connect and chat in a very natural way that doesn't feel rigid when you're looking through this platform and doing it. And I think those are things that maybe trainers aren't thinking about ahead of time, or even things such as if you're using your phone, notifications popping up, texts, putting it on do not disturb, things of that nature. If people calling you, it pauses the screen and things. You don't think about those things if you've never done it before. So I think there's just a lot of nuances related to it if you haven't done it before.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, seeing yourself on camera for the first time, I had to learn to smile more and be more active.
Yeah.
And you see yourself all the time.
Yeah, it looked like I was sleeping the first time I was.
Yeah.
Stacey, tell me about that too. Darian's talking about flexibility, and we're thinking about the really technical aspects of which platform and the resolution. And what have you've been doing this for almost 10 years? What's one or two things that you have learned that people aren't going to realize right off the bat?
Well, test. You have to test everything prior to you getting on. You'd be surprised how many people don't do that. They don't test the sound. They don't turn their phone off, put the notifications off, things like that. So just kind of practice with your friends and family or a chosen person in your life, practice, and realize that if you're on a screen, that screen is going to, for lack of a better word, diminish you a little bit. It's going to take away a little bit of your charisma. And just like he said, so you kind of have to be bigger than you usually are, and so that it translates well to the screen. And third, this is a big motivation game. There's so much competition. There's so many other options for a person to do other than sit in front of a screen with you. So whatever you're doing, you kind of have to up the ante. You have to make it special enough that they're going to want to be there with you. So I'd say those three things.
Those are three great tips. And both of you, you've both worked in and out of gyms. We saw one of our commenters saying that they're used to just showing up to teach the class. They're not used to trying to find new clients, to woo them, to process payments, to figure out the insurance, on top of then figuring out your microphone and your charisma. What's some advice from folks who you've been doing this forever for that piece? Stacey, why don't you take this one first?
Advice for just kind of working through the process of it, of the e-commerce portion?
Yeah, if you're used to just showing up at the gym and starting your class, but now you have to do everything end to end, what's the first biggest thing people should think about?
They should think about ease of use. Whatever platform they use, it should be a kind of plug and play thing. Now is not the time to kind of make a huge thing. Maybe in the future, if that's what you continue doing virtually, do that. But for now, there are a lot of websites and platforms that offer just a plug and play situation that do all of the e-commerce for you. You just have to kind of put in your information. Wix is one of them that I use. I have a virtual business called thesweatwithstacey.com. And that was a great one to build my website. There are many others, Shopify even, that has a great e-commerce platform. So it is going to take a little bit more homework and more due diligence than just showing up, in front of an audience. You're going to have to do back end work. And just as long as you commit to choosing the right one and kind of feeling it out, you'll be okay.
Okay, that's great. Time to commit. So we're gonna do a little workout here. Nothing crazy. It's LinkedIn. It's not YouTube fitness. But I want to know what is one thing that we could be doing. We are a lot of desk jockeys watching here, maybe pausing in the middle of the workday, maybe catching a notification on your phone. What is one simple thing, one simple exercise we can do? Darian, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to try and do it myself too.
Yeah, I think, what I really like doing, especially with clients in the beginning, we're just meeting them where they're at, but there's really a lack of emphasis on the hip complex, whether it's hip flexion, extension, abduction. So just doing anything where there's rotation at the hip or extension at the hip, or flexion at the hip, I think is really helpful, especially rotation, really important. It's a very mobile joint along with the shoulder complex. So anything with hip rotation, I think is really important into providing stability and mobility in that joint.
I'm ready. I'm standing up. Show me what to do.
All right. Okay. So one of our simple ones here, I know my head's cut off a little bit here, but we're going to hip rotation. So we're going to take the hip, we're going to flex it first and then rotate it out and then bring it back to the center. Or you could come out to the rotation first and then bring it back in. So you're going from lateral to medial, or you can go medial to lateral. Just a good way to start opening up the hips and really focusing on making sure you're providing stability and mobility in that joint.
Okay, now I'm going to kick it over to you, Stacey. What should we try? What's one exercise we can do?
Okay, well, this one is pretty simple. You're going to be seated anyway. I'm just going to move the chair back. So you'll be in your chair, and all you're doing is that we teach clients how to squat. You're at the edge of your chair. You're going to push off your heels and take one knee up, try to balance, then go right back down and pop back up again. So you're not really sitting for any length of time. You're just using your legs to take yourself up off the floor. Perfect. Yeah. And you can hold that knee up as long as you want. As your balance.
Okay.
Do it.
I got it. Okay. All right. That was great, you two. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was wonderful to have you through the exercise too. I'm going to keep doing some reps after we hang up.
Great. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you so much, Susie.
Thank you so much. That was Stacey Grant-Lewis and Darian Parker. They have both been training people online for years and are offering some tips if you are trying to move your business online. This has been Business Unusual. I am Susie Jackson, a news editor at LinkedIn. Catch us here from the LinkedIn editors page 5 days a week at noon Eastern. Tomorrow, my colleague Caroline Fairchild is going to be talking with Sally Krawcheck about personal finance amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Thank you so much for joining. Stay safe out there. We'll see you soon.